You are sitting on your couch after a long, exhausting day at work. Your head hurts, your energy is drained, and you just need to vent. So you turn to your dog, sitting right beside you. You look him dead in the eyes and start pouring your heart out, complaining about your passive-aggressive boss and your absurd workload. As you speak, your dog does something extraordinary. He tilts his head slowly to the left. His floppy ears perk up. His brow furrows in what looks like deep concentration. He stays completely silent, hanging on your every word, letting out a soft sigh. In that quiet moment, it feels overwhelmingly real. You feel understood. But then, a quiet doubt creeps in. Is your dog actually understanding a single word you are saying? Or is he just sitting there, waiting for the sound of a cheese wrapper to crinkle? For decades, skeptics claimed that humans are simply projecting our own emotions onto our pets. They argued that to a dog, human language is nothing more than meaningless acoustic noise, a series of random grunts, where the only thing that matters is whether your voice sounds angry or happy. However, recent neuroimaging studies, evolutionary biology, and cognitive experiments have revealed something far more astonishing. The truth is not just that dogs understand us, it is that their brains have been physically rewired over 15,000 years to decode human speech in a way that no other animal on Earth can replicate. To understand how profound this is, consider the massive evolutionary gap between humans and the rest of the animal kingdom. Human language is the most complex cognitive tool ever created. We use abstract symbols, arbitrary vocal sounds, complex grammar, and subtle tonal shifts to convey everything from quantum mechanics to sarcastic jokes. No other species on Earth possesses true symbolic language. If you take a chimpanzee, our closest living genetic relative, sharing nearly 99% of our DNA, and spend years trying to teach it human speech, you will hit a hard biological wall. A chimpanzee can learn to use sign language symbols for food, but it will never understand a spoken sentence. More importantly, a wild ape does not care what a human is saying. It evaluates your posture, your size, and your distance. Spoken words mean nothing to it. Yet, a golden retriever sleeping on a rug will instantly snap to attention the moment you utter a two-syllable word like walk, treat, or bath. For a long time, scientists assumed this was basic classical conditioning, the same way Pavlov rang a bell before feeding his dogs. If you say walk and grab the leash 50 times, the dog simply links sound A with event B. It doesn't mean the dog understands language. It just means its brain formed an association. In 2016, a team of neuroscientists at Eötvös Lorand University in Budapest peeked directly inside a dog's brain to test whether there was something deeper going on. Led by Dr. Attila Andics, researchers trained 13 family dogs to lie completely still inside a functional MRI scanner. The dogs sat voluntarily in the machine, completely awake and wearing headphones, while scientists played recordings of their owners' voices. The researchers played 4 combinations of words and tones: praise words in a warm tone, neutral words in a warm tone, praise words in a flat tone, and neutral words in a flat tone. If dogs only cared about emotional pitch, any word spoken in a happy tone should have triggered the exact same brain activity. But that is not what the fMRI scans showed. The scans revealed a mind-blowing division of cognitive labor inside the canine brain. When dogs heard meaningful praise words, the left hemisphere lit up, regardless of intonation. The left hemisphere is responsible for processing vocabulary and acoustic meaning. Meanwhile, the right hemisphere activated specifically to process emotional intonation, the pitch, rhythm, and mood. Most importantly, the reward center of the dog's brain, the region that releases dopamine when experiencing pleasure, only activated when praise words were combined with a praised intonation. If the owner said, "well done," in a flat voice, the left brain recognized the word, but the reward center remained quiet. If the owner spoke complete gibberish in an excited voice, the right brain recognized the happy mood, but the reward center still didn't ignite. The dog's brain processed vocabulary and tones separately, and then integrated them together to extract true meaning. Human brains process language using this exact division of labor. Our left hemisphere processes word meaning, while our right hemisphere processes pitch and emotion. Dogs evolved to share our neural blueprint for acoustic comprehension. How did a domesticated predator develop a brain structure mirroring human language processing? The answer lies in one of the most remarkable co-evolutionary partnerships in history, the journey from the wild gray wolf to the modern domestic dog. 15,000 years ago, during the Ice Age, wolves were our fiercest competitors. Yet, as certain wolves began scavenging around human hunting camps, a subtle genetic filter took hold. Wolves that were slightly less aggressive and more comfortable around human presence survived better on our food scraps. Over generations, self-domestication transformed their biology. It didn't just change physical traits like floppy ears and curled tails, it fundamentally rewired their social intellect. Consider the pointing experiment, developed by cognitive scientist Dr. Brian Hare at Duke University. Imagine sitting between two inverted cups. A researcher hides food under one cup while a dog watches, and then points directly at the correct cup. A domestic dog puppy, even one only a few weeks old with minimal human contact, will look at the human's hand, follow the finger's direction, and walk to the correct cup to claim the treat. Understanding a pointing gesture is an exceptionally rare cognitive feat in nature. If you perform this experiment with a chimpanzee, the ape will stare blankly at your finger. It does not understand that you are sharing secret information about an object in the distance. Even wild wolf pups raised by humans struggle with this test. A wolf looks at your finger. A dog looks where your finger is pointing. Dogs inherited a unique social instinct. They understand that humans have intentions, and that humans communicate to share information. Because their ancestors worked alongside human hunters, dogs evolved an innate drive to pay attention to our body language, gaze direction, and vocal sounds. In fact, dogs evolved specific physical adaptations to communicate with us. Take the levator anguli oculi medialis, a tiny facial muscle situated above the inner eye. This muscle allows dogs to raise their inner eyebrows, creating large, sad eyes that mimic human infant expressions. Gray wolves do not possess this muscle. Over thousands of years, humans unconsciously selected for dogs that could pull off this expressive look because it triggered our protective instincts. When a dog looks into your eyes while you speak, a biological feedback loop occurs. Studies show that when a human and a dog make eye contact, both brains release a surge of oxytocin, the bonding hormone that floods a mother's brain when cradling her newborn baby. No other interspecies interaction produces this oxytocin loop. Staring into the eyes of a wolf does not trigger oxytocin. A wolf perceives direct eye contact as an aggressive threat. When you talk to your dog, their brain receives a multi-sensory flood of information. First, their ears capture vocal frequency. Their left brain decodes learned words, while their right brain measures emotional pitch. Second, their eyes track your micro-expressions, noticing whether your shoulders are tense, your pupils dilated, or your eyebrows furrowed. Third, their sense of smell decodes your chemical state. When humans experience stress or anxiety, our body releases cortisol and adrenaline, altering our sweat chemistry. A dog's nose, equipped with 300 million olfactory receptors compared to our 6 million, detects these chemical shifts instantly. When you sit on your couch complaining about your day, your dog doesn't need to know the definition of an office performance review. They hear your quiet tone, recognize stressed vocabulary, smell cortisol in your sweat, and synthesize these inputs into a clear message. My human needs comfort. How many words can a dog actually learn? For an average dog, cognitive scientists estimate vocabulary ranges between 150 to 200 words, equivalent to a 2-year-old human child. This includes object names, commands, and action verbs. However, some extraordinary dogs have shattered our expectations of canine intelligence. Consider Chaser, a border collie trained by psychology professor Dr. John Pilley. Over 3 years, Chaser learned the proper names of an astonishing 1,022 distinct toys and objects. She didn't just memorize them by repetition. Chaser understood category nouns, recognizing that toy referred to all 1,000 objects, while ball referred specifically to a subset of round items. Remarkably, Chaser demonstrated fast mapping, or inferential reasoning by exclusion. If researchers placed 10 familiar toys alongside one brand new toy and commanded her to fetch an unfamiliar word like Darwin, Chaser realized 10 toys had known names, deduced the new word belonged to the new object, and retrieved it. This is the exact mental shortcut human toddlers use to acquire language. Yet, despite these incredible feats, dogs do not possess syntax or grammar. If you change word order, a dog does not analyze grammatical structure. If you say, "the dog bit the man" versus "the man bit the dog," a dog hears key keywords, dog, man, bite, and uses context to figure out what happened. They live in a world of rich associative concepts and emotional intent rather than formal linguistic rules. So, the next time you come home from a long, grueling day and find yourself talking to your dog about your life, don't let anyone tell you that you are just talking to yourself. Your dog may not know what a Tuesday is, or why you sit in front of a glowing glass rectangle every morning, but when you look at them and speak, their left brain sifts through your words for familiar anchors. Their right brain reads the emotional music of your voice, their nose reads your chemical signature, and their heart responds with 15,000 years of hardwired evolutionary devotion. You aren't just making noise in an empty room. You are engaging in the oldest, most successful interspecies conversation in history. And to the creature sitting beside you, every single word you say matters.